welcome back to Grow Your Green. And it's been a little bit over a week, so I can't call it the weekly update, but the reason for that is it's been storming really bad, so we'll add the clip here. And we just wanted to show you where it's at right now. We will have to do some trimming soon and harvest some things, but let's get into it. So this is our herb garden. Like we said, we have two different types of kale. This is our kale that we grew from seed. It's humongous, and you can tell the difference because the end of the leaves aren't curled like these ones are. These leaves seem to be much broader than these leaves. So that's where our kale is. Because it's been so storming, we have had some plants starting to bolt. So this is my parsley that I started from seed, which means that soon it'll flower and it'll lose a lot of its flavor. So that kind of sucks, but the good thing is we have one inside of our front yard, so we'll use that one to harvest as well. And we have a curled parsley over here that's doing super awesome, which I like to use this one anyways because it's fun looking. If you move the kale plant a little bit, you can see our lemon thyme in here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab any weeds that I see, so I'm gonna pull this one here. Lemon thyme is growing like crazy. I will say this is our mint, and it's also doing what mint is known to do, is spread. We're gonna have to start harvesting from it because if you look, some of these shoots of it are already coming out of our garden. They're so long. So this is the plant over here, and it goes all the way out to here. Here's another one right here. And it will create more mint all the way out. So buried underneath. It's so long. This is our basil here, and I'm super excited about this because it was not growing once I harvested from it, but it seems to be taking off again since it's got a little bit more rain now. That's exciting. This is our cilantro, which also bolted. We have another one of those in the front as well, which gets a little bit less rain and sun. If you move the kale, so that's what I was saying, I'm gonna have to harvest because you gotta move everything to get to it now. But this is our sage in the back. Here, with the fuzzy looking leaves. The oregano, much smaller leaves here. This is a tree that started growing. I'm gonna pull that. And then the rosemary plant is starting to come back too. So that is right in the middle of the lemon thyme and the oregano. Of course, we've got our green onions, which has been doing awesome.
Smells like you're about to make some spaghetti.
I know. This is our green onions. They're doing great. A little bit slower in the back because obviously they don't get as much sun, but so we'll go ahead and go into the garden. Of course is our peas and beans. Like I mentioned before, I did not know that there was a big difference between bush beans here, which is going to grow into a giant bush right in my way, and a pole bean, which literally wraps up. You can see that? It wraps up just like it would be going up a pole, and then it grows these giant leaves on it. This is our Kentucky pole bean. It's doing awesome. Yes, Kentucky Wonder, that's correct, thank you. These are peas, which you can see have flowered and are doing super awesome. I was really nervous, like I mentioned in a previous video, and I just dropped seeds just to see what they would do. And they are taking off, so I might have put too many too close, but we'll see. They're doing good so far. Lots of flowers on them and pods coming, so. This one over here is our big producer. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, because peas are a vine plant, I don't always plant them perfectly towards the vine. I just wrap them. I'll get a big piece and I will just put it through the chicken wire so it can continue to grow, because if not, it'll just break. It'll fall backwards. So this is our big pea producer. We'll come on this side, babe. They're looking so good. I'm so excited. So this is curled because there was a lot of rain and not a lot of sun. So that does happen sometimes, but they're fine. I can still take the seeds from them and keep them and maybe eat them. These are our other peas. So this one plant has I believe 8 peas on it right now, and we've already harvested 3. We're learning with a garden this big, so some of the spaces are not that big, but that's okay. These are potatoes, which are getting humongous. You can tell that they're almost up to the top of the fence line now. And you could see flowers on them earlier. Most of them have died at this point, but you can still see, if you come real close, the buds of the flower on them. So they're in the next stage. I am a little bit worried because we have gotten so much rain, but my husband's trying to come out here often and he'll check the dirt and just make sure that there's no potatoes that we can visibly see. We also have a surprise, babe, that I'd like to show them. If you remember, I planted a sweet potato as an experiment. We only are able to plant from the Farmer's Almanac in 1 month a sweet potato. And we missed that line. But I was like, let me go ahead and put it in the ground and let's just see what it does. So that's over here. And it's actually growing. This is our sweet potato. So that's exciting. You might get one. This is an experimental year for me. I've never had a garden this big, and so we're just trying things and seeing how it works, and then we'll adjust next year. Saying that will lead me into the spinach over here. So if you can see, I didn't know how big the Kentucky Wonders were gonna get. So the spinach and the Kentucky Wonders and some of the peas are starting to join. Oh wow, that's a purple flower on that plant. So we might be getting a bean soon. That'd be exciting. So these are our spinach. Our onions, some of them are starting to fall. Other are getting close. So it might be time to harvest them soon, but we're just gonna watch them and see what they do. These are the ones that we cut back. They're still growing, so that's exciting. Like I said, it's very experimental. We don't. Alright, so that's our spinach. This is our sunflower that we planted just to get some flowers in the bed. There's so many trees that are starting to sprout. And our spinach. Okay. Or maybe just lots of little leaves that are gonna come out. This is a flower over here, our sweet pea flower. That's called a sweet pea flower. It is not edible, though the name makes it seem like it would be. It's a vining flower, so when we planted it, it was just one seed. What's really cool about it is that it has multiple sprouts off of it. I mean, this is what, 6 off of one little seed, and it's supposed to just vine out. So we were hoping it would go like all the way through the fence. That'll lead us to our collard greens. Now, I should have made another video because we did harvest collard greens and we ate them, and they were really good. So some of them look a little bit smaller, but they are coming back. They're starting to multiply, so we've already gotten our first harvest off of them, which is very exciting. This is our broccoli, which is just sprouting off. It's supposed to be more of a winter crop, but it seems to be doing fine. I don't know if that's because we've had a lot of rain and it's been cooler. But that's exciting. And then of course our little lettuce in that corner, like always, is doing really well. Our asperbrock, I have news, is starting to produce. So those are the little heads that we're going to be eating. That's like the actual food there. And both of them are doing it. This one's a little bit bigger than that one is. In the middle. So that's super exciting. Oh, oh. That leads us to our corn. And if anybody knows the country song, rain makes corn, corn makes whiskey. We've had lots of rain, which means our corn is sprouting off all the way through, actually. So this is where I replanted some corn seeds, kernels, because they weren't popping like I wanted them to over here. So you do have some smaller ones, but that's why, because they were planted after the other ones were. These ones are doing absolutely fantastic. And then that will lead us to this other side over here. I will say, when I was talking about pollinators last time, flies are also a pollinator. So when you plant and see lots of flies, don't freak out. That's good. They're moving around on different plants and pollinating your plant as well. We do have lots of those. So this is our corn. Really like past my knee now. Smell the corn, and it's almost like a field, you know? I mean, there are almost 100 corns, but still it's pretty impressive. I'm gonna go to the back of the garden. This is our watermelon bed, and honestly, I have 4 watermelons that I need to get in the ground, so I'll probably do a video of that soon. They are absolutely taking off. They're starting to vine up just like we wanted them to, so that's really exciting. And this is our cantaloupe. This is not watermelon, technically muskmelon. It's doing well. It's flowering a lot, but I don't think that there's been enough sun for it to actually produce any fruit yet. That's my theory of why it's flowering so much, but it's not producing. This is our lettuce that's hidden in here too, so she's doing good. We got a bonus lettuce from the store we bought our cantaloupe from. You can also see that some of our watermelons have been getting eaten by earwigs. We have a lot of earwigs. It's actually a problem here. are our watermelons that you're looking at currently. And then our big watermelon is on the end. Yeah, it's been raining, so we really have not been able to like come out here and work on like the weeds and weed eating and all that fun stuff. So this is our watermelon that's starting to vine up. These are what helps it vine. It will wrap and it will just take off through the trellis. And then this is our sunflower. You'll see those throughout the garden. We just put flowers, really honestly, everywhere. They're good for pollinators. This is our strawberry bed, which I've stated before is one of our favorite corners of the garden. So this is very exciting for us. But they are multiplying like crazy. We're gonna come out here today and get some strawberries. Like I've mentioned before, there's different stages of the strawberry. So you've got just the leaves of the strawberry. And then you've got the flowers, which are white. That's actually not the flower. This is the flower over here. And then once all of the petals fall off of the flower, then it goes back to that one that I showed you. Some grass growing in here. But we have so many strawberries. They're looking amazing. So we're gonna come out here and pull some strawberries today, and we'll have some strawberries. Oh, there's a mushroom. I love mushrooms. That means that my soil is good. Life is happening in the garden. And then all around, like we've mentioned, are just wildflowers. So you have the sunflowers occasionally, and then in the middle you're gonna have wildflowers just popping out. And that's just to keep the bees and things coming back to our garden. Sorry, I'm seeing a lot of weeds. These are our tomatoes, and they are getting humongous. We got these little tomato cages that are supposed to help them grow, but if you look over here, this one has outgrown its tomato cage already, and it's the beginning of the season. So we're gonna have to find a plan B. But they're producing really well. Most of the tomatoes at this point do have flowers on them, which is exciting because flowers hopefully means tomatoes. But the tomatoes that have started are gonna be on this side. Trying to see if I see like little tomatoes. All of wow, beautiful. It's absolutely black. Huh. So these are our big tomatoes. These are what we've shown you previously in other videos. They're changing colors, which you can see. They start out as a very dark green, and then they go to a much lighter green. We're a little worried about how close the tomatoes grow, but they do that themselves, so we're hoping for the best. This is our one that has started to turn red. Starting, it's not there. So it's a blush color underneath. I don't know if you can see that. It's almost orange. And it's gonna go all the way up the tomato and change colors. Yeah, you can see that a little bit. So that one will probably be our first tomato that is actually ready to pick, which is exciting. And when you see garden tomatoes, there are a little bit more blemishes on them just because there's a lot that can go wrong with them, but that's okay. A lot of times gardeners say like eat the fruit that the nature has eaten as well, because it's usually the sweetest, it's the best, it's the one that tastes the best. So we don't really worry about that too much. This is our okra bed. It is a warmer crop, so it's a little bit slower, but it is taking off. It looks really strong. We have two types. We have the burgundy okra, and then we also have the Clemson spineless okra. And then every now and then you'll see some green onions that we planted in there that I started inside, and it's been able to been transplanted outside. But if you look at it, it's not that much bigger than, let's say, this one that started from seed outside. So maybe next year I might not transplant okra. It's the only one that I've really started doing, but there are, it looks like, maybe some flowers here that have little okras coming from them. So that would be exciting. That would be the only reason, if it does produce a little bit earlier, that would be the only reason why I would start them possibly inside. We learned this year that we started a lot of stuff really early inside, so I'm just trying to learn about timing and all of that for next year. That will lead me into our peppers. As I've mentioned before, we do have some hot peppers, not very many. We have a habanero and a jalapeno, I believe, are spiciest. And then we have poblanos, we have bell peppers, and we have jalapenos, which are jalapenos, but they're not supposed to have that heat in them. So if you look at them, here are our peppers here. There's a whole bed of them, like all of them. So these, just like most other plants, it's gonna flower first and then it's gonna become a pepper or whatever it is. So these are flowers for our peppers. You can't actually see the pepper on it yet. Here's one. It's a little pepper. Oh, how exciting is that? So they start like this, and then they'll lose their leaves, and then they'll turn into the fruit, which will be there. And lots of them are starting to do that. Which I've always thought that peppers had to be a lot bigger to produce fruit. I was a little bit nervous about their size, but as you can see, they're doing well. So a lot of gardening is trial and error, is what I would say. You don't know until you try. Thanos, get out. Roxy, get out. Get out. Go. 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 Out. No. Out. Move. Roxy, come on. Move, Bruno. Out. Go. Like I said, I do have a couple of last things that I need to put into the ground, just because it's that time of year where I just need to go ahead and put everything in the ground. But I'm running out of garden space, so I don't know. We'll figure it out. But that's gonna wrap up our video. So